right, welcome, revelers. This is Off the Rails, Right versus Left, the podcast that we do because we think the left is evil. I'm Rob B.
And I'm Brad Lee.
And I'm Brian G.
And we are Off the Rails, Right versus Left. Again, we're doing this show because we think everybody needs to know that the left is evil.
Classic.
Welcome, revelers. It's that time of week again. We're going to be talking about, it's springtime in Tornado Alley. We got that going on. We got more attacks to the food supply. My man Trump's in our state here. What else we got? Oh, yeah, and then just like pretty much how both the right and the left completely misjudge all of the Eastern cultures. So we're going to be covering all that. And then, of course, the show's called Off the Rails because we're getting off the rails somewhere.
Did you just say G-string vultures?
Eastern cultures.
Oh, I thought you said G-string vultures, man. Sorry, I had to take it off the rails.
No, liberals are all about that G-string culture.
Yeah? especially if it's on the men, not the women.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's on a man pretending to be a woman.
Right.
That's their preferred G-string wielder.
The G-string reverse banana hammock.
Exactly. So, hey, before we dig into it, make sure you like, subscribe, click that notification bell. Because YouTube doesn't like us because we actually have common sense.
And that's okay, because we want you to move over to Rumble anyways. Rumble's a far superior platform.
Yeah, or go over there. We're definitely
free speech.
We are getting a lot more views over there right now on our full shows. So yeah, check it out over there. At some point, we're going to be splitting it off where we're going to have our show that you have to basically go to Rumble and check us out because we're getting really close to having all of our strikes disappear, which means we can start getting commercials and stuff. So anyways, but that's that. We do have 1,000 subscribers now, so that's awesome.
Oh, sweet.
Next stop, 1 million or bust. So anyway, okay, so
I think 10K is probably a closer milestone, but
well, I mean, we're finally over the 1,000 minimum that YouTube requires, so that's like.
Oh, I don't even care about YouTube, so which you guys will find out when I start talking.
Yeah, Bluetooth sucks. Anyway, so let's get it started. Well, I mean, start off. Yeah, you had the story about.
Oh yeah, so
pretty kicking into gear.
Yeah, so we'll start off with a sad note. You guys just give your thoughts and prayers to the people in Mississippi. 23 people died. I'm not exactly sure how many were injured. It's a bad deal. I know they live in Tornado Alley, but still stuff. Nobody wants to die in a tornado or a hurricane. So just give your thoughts and prayers to all the family and people there, and let's take a second, real quick, moment of silence for them. All right, so much for that.
Well, but it does also actually bring up another good point.
Oh yeah, it wasn't climate change. It did it either.
It turned into a prepper, but guys, a lot of stuff is very predictable. Tornado season, hurricane season, all that. So make sure that you have supplies that your family needs to last for at least a couple weeks, if not a couple months. I'm up to a couple years. So
well, it's like Dan Bongino says. I mean, that stuff lasts for what, 20 years? The best day of your life is the day that you have to throw all of that stuff that you bought away because it expired. That is going to be the best day of your life. But like Rob was just saying, you go through power outages, tornadoes, floods, your things happen, and if you have dried food and stuff, and like you said, prepping gear, then you'll be okay. You'll be able to live quite comfortably with the amenities that you have.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say that I'm a full-fledged prepper. It just kind of like
You're
happened,
prepared.
I got my little piece of land out there in the middle of nowhere, and
Hmm.
I just kind of started building up a supply.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I've got probably a year's worth of canned food, and then yeah, like another year's worth of well, I've got 14 of the survival buckets. Those are usually a month each, so 14 months worth of the survival buckets, and then enough to treat about 200 gallons of water with water treatment pills. So, and it just started a little at a time. Like the way I actually started was building up my canned foods. Like I do gig work because I like to travel, so I don't want to have a boss that's going to tell me I can't travel.
Hmm.
So like every day I would buy like $10 worth of canned foods before I headed home, and that shit added up real quick.
Oh
So
yeah.
of course I'm off grid, so I got my propane cooking, I got my generator, I've got my solar for my lights, so I don't have to run the generator unless I need the heat or the air conditioner, And
Bro, if I were you, I'd be using firewood, man. Be using fire to heat, to cook, to heat, to.
dude, like fire. Well, yeah, it's a good idea, but with like how small my space is, like I can't cook with firewood. Now,
Oh no! I mean, you would have to. Dude. There's no way you would want even a freaking wood stove in that little tiny house.
yeah, it'd fucking bake me alive.
Yeah, and you would only use it for like 4 or 5 weeks out of the year.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but no,
So,
you could. Like you could cook outside.
yeah.
I
So,
mean,
well, and I do, but when I cook outside, I'm cooking with gas. So,
yeah, no. See, but I'm saying you could do wood.
yeah, I actually, that's actually not a bad idea. I should build me a little little brick oven and stove like
Hmm.
outside that I can just feed with firewood, start chopping down trees and letting the wood dry. Maybe that'll be my
That's it.
next prepping project.
Absolutely. Let me know. I'll come help you.
Ooh,
I know masonry. I know carpentry. I know plumbing. I know HVAC. The plumbing and HVAC I actually got a certificate for through North Idaho College.
all right, bro, get your ass down here and help me out with this plumbing.
I know framing too, so
Oh, that's all done.
no, I know.
The only thing I'm still working on is
I
wiring.
don't know. I don't know how to read a blueprint, but I can frame. If you give me the
Um,
sticks all set up to where I got to frame it, then I can do it.
yeah, someday I'll be like proud enough of my little tiny house that I'll like show it off on the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I actually got some cool pictures of it. Maybe next time I'll upload them. Anyway,
Oh, I
uh,
got some. I got some. I'll find them and I'll put them on the show.
so anyway, so that's it. Yeah. So with everything that's going on, and then like add into it everything that's going on with our government. Who knows when our country is going to be bankrupt with all these banks collapsing, and like the fact that like politicians on both sides seem to think the problem for everything is spend more fucking money. Like it's so stupid when you keep passing the same money through the same hands over and over. It doesn't grow anything, and the government's never done anything efficiently except for steal from the taxpayers. So, yeah, so it just doesn't hurt to be prepared, but everybody should at least be prepared to go 2 weeks to a month. Um, like everybody should have enough to like the ridiculousness is like some like 60 or 70% of people don't even have enough money or available limit on their credit cards to survive a $500 emergency, and that's terrible. That's like awful.
Yeah, that's
So,
me. Well,
huh?
probably not. Probably not. I could probably handle a $500 emergency. But the thing is I very rarely come across emergencies because anything that is an emergency, I can handle because I can either fix the problem or do something to
Yeah,
get it.
and you've like set stuff up to prepare and all that. So yeah, I get it. But no, I'm just saying in general, it is that time of year, so be prepared, because we don't want to be reading about any of our viewers as statistics and news stories.
Right.
So anyway, so from there, okay, I'm kind of getting, I know it's a conspiracy theory, but considering the fact that every conspiracy theory out there seems to be coming true these days, I think it gives cause for pause. So, and this is kind of like actively going on right now, the Hershey fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so today, a Hershey plant exploded, okay?
Yep.
They're not really saying what caused it. They're saying there were no gas leaks, there was no calls for gas service. The whole plant just exploded so freaking big, it literally moved the building 4 feet.
Holy crap.
And so far, 2 people are verified dead, 5 people missing. And, you know, a lot of times those numbers end up going up as they learn, you know, other people were supposed to be there. So to me, this is my problem. Like, I think, well, I mean, you look at the pictures coming back from the border, like even like on a daily basis, hundreds of Chinese people are coming across the border from Latin America. Like, how are those legit refugees? They're already in another country. Anyway, so we are having attacks on our food production. We are having issues, and by attacks, I mean literally. I mean, you can look it up, and there have, in the last couple of years, there have been hundreds of food production facilities that have burned down, including during the big egg shortage. One of the largest egg producing plants in the country burned down. And like I said before, like I grew up on farms. I don't know if you ever went with me, but I went and worked at that chicken plant, and there is nothing there to burn. So for a chicken facility to burn down and kill 250,000 birds, that's sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it had been 250,000 birds let out, I'd just be like, oh, PETA, but you know, the birds all died. So, although I did like, okay, this is a little off the rails. I did like the video of the PETA protesters that broke into a duck slaughter facility and stuck their heads in the duck slaughter machine, and somebody hit the button and made it move.
Really?
Yeah, that machine would never be able to behead a person, but it was still kind of like hilarious watching them panic.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen, like, you seriously got to look up the video. It's hilarious. So anyway, so that was that. But yeah, we've had wheat production facilities, grain processing. We've had corn processing facilities. We had canned food warehouse or canned food manufacturing. Like, all these places are exploding or burning down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you combine that with the 1,000 train derailments a year, and guess how the majority of our food is transported in this country? By train. Okay. And then, like, you add to that, so like with the whole egg shortage, there aren't egg shortages in the other part of the world. And what makes that weird is they tried to blame it on avian flu. But avian flu is spread by birds. Birds fly all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
When there's an avian flu outbreak, it's never in one country. So if it's spread out enough to impact our entire industry, it would have been in other countries as well. You follow my logic on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like our magical coronavirus that was transmitted by bats, yet bats can't transmit it to other bats. Anyway, just saying. Oh, we're about to have our last strike removed, and here I am trying to pick up another strike. Anyway, so very weird that we have this very isolated avian flu, but then you combine with it, like, all the chickens just stopped laying eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the independent news channels, like, covered it, that, like, the farmers went and switched to local feed, and the local feed was working just fine. They started laying eggs within a few days. And all of the chicken food for the entire U.S., pretty much, something like 80% of the supply, is produced by Purina.
Right.
And when we had all those cows that were destroyed because they had an unknown illness, they were all eating a Purina brand food. So, and you know what's funny? That same company has major stakes in an enormous egg producing plant, which had no problem, and an entire beef production facility, which had no problem.
And they weren't using Purina?
Oh, they were, but there was nothing wrong with their feed.
Their Purina? There's nothing wrong with their feed?
Yeah, they were still producing eggs.
Huh, that's weird.
Funny, only the stuff that was going to the competition was causing problems.
How long until we start hearing that? Oh, that's normal. These things happen all the time.
Yeah. So it's kind of, and that is what they're saying. It's just like they're doing with the train derailments. They're like, oh, it happens a ton. Okay, but it's not normal for trains to jump off their tracks.
Right. It's not normal for people to place fucking pipe bombs on the track and it be there long enough to derail a train. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like what?
It's definitely suspect.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I just think it's like, I think it looks to me like our food supply is directly under attack. Our infrastructure is definitely directly under attack. Between gas lines getting hacked, substations getting blown up, all this shit. Like, I mean, it seems to me that we're like directly under attack. That's the way I see it.
Well, yeah. Trains are derailing. Food plants are blowing up. People are attempting to attack power plants. Millions and millions of people are coming across our southern border unfettered and unchecked. I mean, yeah, we're under attack, bro.
Exactly what I'm saying. We're on the same menu of that diet plan. And you know what's on the menu?
Grasshoppers?
No, obvious truth. So join us on the diet plan.
Yeah.
It's a tasty diet when you actually get the truth. So that's that. Okay. But I don't know how you fix it. You know what I mean? That's the problem. Because like nobody,
well, they're pushing for a third world civil war.
Yeah, they're trying to get a civil war and a world war at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and then the question is like, what breaks out first? Well, I mean, I actually like.
I think that if America starts fighting internally and we have a civil war here, that's going to start up Iran, Russia, China, India. All of them are going to get together, and we're going to be screwed. I mean, our military is already weak. We are fucking the UN.
Well, I don't know that they'd necessarily try and directly attack. That's something I just don't quite buy. But they don't need to.
Mexico. All they got to do is get China and Canada and Mexico to say, okay, America's fucking stupid. We're going to join this fucking shit show. It wouldn't be hard. Russia tried to get fucking missiles in Cuba, or had missiles in Cuba.
Well, they tried. I think they did get a couple there.
Yeah, which is what pissed off fucking whoever it was. I don't know if it was Reagan or Kennedy. I think it was Reagan, right? The Russian missile crisis.
No, Kennedy.
Well, it was Kennedy. Okay,
Yeah.
I knew it was one of those two famous fucks.
Yeah. The Cuban Missile Crisis was Kennedy. The Iran-Contra scandal was Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then that leads into the whole like thing. Did you see Tucker's coverage about Nixon? Like literally, he got elected by the largest margin of any president ever, right?
Oh yeah. I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. So 6 months later, they had forced his vice president out of office and replaced him by an appointment that said the CIA was innocent in the assassination of JFK, and that was Ford. So Congress appointed Ford as his new vice president, and 2 months after that, Ford was out of office. Awfully suspect again. And he was literally the most popular president ever. Like, he won by over 14 million votes. So, it's crazy. Anyway, so it's interesting you brought up Iran there, though. Because you see what's going on over there now, right?
What hasn't been going on over there?
So, Iran attacked a U.S. base there and killed U.S. contractors.
Oh, shit.
So, Biden actually nutted up and called for a drone strike. Now, don't forget, this is his buddy that he wants to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So, Iran lobbed 20 more missiles at us.
Awesome.
I don't know where it's standing now, but I think it's time to just, like, if I were the president, if I were Biden, I'd stand up and be like, we're officially giving Israel permission to destroy Iran. They're a threat to the world.
Oh, hey, dude, that's good call.
Like, that's what I would say, because, like, literally, like, I'm sorry, we got a lot of Arabs in the world.
Don't be sorry. Why are you sorry about that?
They've been threatening to destroy Israel for
thousands of years.
They tried repeatedly. Yeah, I mean, their whole religion preaches hate. That's why I don't get, like, any liberal that sits there and says that Islam is a religion of peace. Well, I mean, I get the idea. You don't want to, like, condemn an entire religion. And for the most part, I would agree. Like,
but Islam condemns every other religion.
Right. Well, I mean, they have no problem condemning Christianity, even though everything, like, it doesn't say anywhere that you should kill people. It says, thou shalt not kill.
Uh-huh.
Like, there's a lot of bloody stories in the Bible, and there was usually consequences of the bloodshed.
Right.
So, yeah, so I don't get the way they're always, like, sticking up for Islam, that literally in its founding documents says that Jews are the people of Satan and that they should be destroyed and they should have no rights. Literally, under Sharia law, Israelis have no right to anything except for slavery or death. Like, under Sharia law, that's the rights that a Jew has.
Right. That's the
now,
problem
of course,
having fucking government run by religion.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's exactly why they didn't want a state-established religion here, is because it's kind of the same thing.
And too many people get that confused. Too many people don't understand what the separation of church and state was.
Well, there is no separation of church and state.
Yeah, I know. It's just saying that the government cannot create its own church.
Yeah, because the Church of England, like, persecuted people across half a continent.
Right, which is why they were burning witches alive at the stake and all that BS.
Right. So, yeah, and that's, well, not even just the like, burning witches alive, because, you know, I mean, well, we're not exactly innocent of it on this side of the country.
Oh, no. Well, the reason we did it was because we were influenced by that.
Well, no, but it was the Protestants that did it. You know, the same Protestants
Mhm.
that ran to get away from the Church of England,
Right.
like ended up doing the same goddamn thing.
Right.
Like that's the irony. Like they came here so they wouldn't be getting persecuted and burned as witches. So like some I don't know. Knowing human nature as I do grown up now, like I never really made that connection there.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking somebody was banging somebody and wanted to get somebody out of the way.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I
No,
think
we were watching that Indian fucking testify to Congress the other day. I was like, the whole time I was like, this guy is sitting here bitching. And I get what he was saying about the elders of his tribe were fucking not doing what they were supposed to do because they were being paid. But I was sitting there, I'm like, dude, you're sitting there bitching about fucking you don't fucking get to hold on to your traditions while you're sitting there in your leather jacket and your fucking t-shirt, your denim fucking button-up shirt, and your denim fucking shorts. If you were really serious and it bothered you that much, why aren't you coming in a fucking loincloth and shit? Like obviously the Eastern culture fucking did something for you. It made you somewhat civilized.
well, the leather jacket's actually closer to buckskin than anything else we wear. So
I mean, you know what I'm saying? That was back in the '80s, though. So that was the style, the leather jacket back in the
yeah.
'80s.
So I have two, and they were both my dad's, and he had them both since the '80s. So they're probably worth quite a bit as vintage items.
It could be. Who knows?
So anyway, but yeah, no. So and it's kind of funny, like, so and then it kind of segues. Um, Barack Obama should have known better. He grew up in the Eastern Hemisphere. He grew up under Muslim cultures. He knew that they're not reconcilable. The core beliefs of the Islamic world and most Eastern nations just are not reconcilable with Western values. The values are different, like completely. And it should like stand out even more glaringly because nowadays, like just the cultural differences between the right and left are just not reconcilable. Like you take some of the most contentious issues. Okay, racism. Well, the left throws it at Republicans every time they're using an argument to try and shut down debate. But the reality is, everything that they like do, they try and like do with some tint of race. Like they want equity, which is not like I mean, it's complete robbery, and it does a disservice to the people that you claim need help because you no longer make them push to be knowledgeable and skilled. Well, if they're not knowledgeable and skilled, no matter what, like leg ups you give them, they're gonna fail
because they have no incentive.
Incentive aside, like even if you give them, okay, well, you get your doctorate, you should make a lot of money, okay. But if you hand somebody a fucking doctorate in fucking social work, they're still gonna make $30,000 a year as a social worker. If you hand somebody a doctorate in engineering and they don't know how to do the engineering work, they're going to get fired real quick. And if they start their own company, they're going to end up sued and bankrupt when one of their buildings fail.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the only way for them to actually be successful is for them to meet the standards of success.
Dude, okay. Let's put it this way. Equity is stupid. Okay. And this is why. And you not saying that you did a disservice in the way you described it, but so the way I look at it is like, okay, if LeBron James and I were in high school at the same time and we both wanted to play point guard on our basketball team, and they gave us both that position, starting position, so we rotated in and out, the results of that game would be better if LeBron was in than if I was in, right? Why? Because LeBron James spent all of his life practicing, working hard, trying to become a better basketball player, while I've just sat here doing nothing. So that's like Megan Rapinoe complaining about women in soccer not making as much as men in soccer. Well, you're not as good as the men are because you got beat by a high school soccer team of boys, and you're not pulling in the viewers because you suck at what you do and nobody wants to see women play soccer, and the men are pulling in thousands upon thousands of people just into the stadiums. Then you have the thousands, probably millions of people watching around the world on television. So they're bringing in revenue, which companies are paying to have commercials to be played there so they can afford to pay the male athletes more. Nobody.
Right. Well, I mean, the whole thing is the reason why the conservatives are so much more into sports is it's the last remaining meritocracy.
Right.
Because, like, yeah, everybody knows that those 34 teams, 32 teams, whatever, they're going to go out and get the,
Crap beat out of them.
1,500 best people in the world to play the game.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to go and get Joe Schmo on his couch with the fucking beer belly that hasn't fucking ran a half a mile in 20 years to go and take up somebody else, it just doesn't make sense. It's not, equity doesn't work. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
equality works, but equity.
Well, so equity takes everybody down to the lowest common denominator, where equality of opportunity is what allows people to reach for new heights at all times, and it extends the ceiling.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want everybody to land on the same floor. I'm okay with, like, some people ending up in the basement, some people ending up on the floor, some people ending up on the second story, and some people going to the moon that did the work and had the ideas and had the brain power. Like, dude, I wish I was a billionaire, but I haven't come up yet with the thing that makes me a billionaire. When I do, I'll let you know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, the idea that I mean, we can look at, and that's the thing, like, Democrats always look at root causes, but they never actually look at the root causes. They say, we have to look at the root causes. It's racism.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. The root causes are kids running around with no supervision because there's one parent in the family. The root causes are
TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Well, and actually a lot of that, the reason it's so freaking popular is because everything that's on traditional media is so freaking boring, because all they're trying to do is shove your agenda down their throat. And that's boring even to kids.
Yeah,
you know
well,
what I mean?
and then on top of that, this TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, they're all causing us to lose our short-term memory. When's the last time you, like, sat down and watched RVL all the way through? Now we've got Rob here wanting me to do YouTube shorts, right? So that we can constantly put out content. That's good for me if I get people to watch it, which they will, I'm sure, because I'm just so fucking good at what I do. But so then they're only spending 5 minutes, not paying a whole lot of attention. Then they get bored after 2 minutes. So then they scroll up and you're just doom scrolling. And then my wife was doing it just the other day. I'm like, dude, you need to stop that. You need to stop. And she's like, oh, I'm just looking at whatever. I'm like, yeah, but it's like causing you mental harm. It's going to literally make you stupider, because you're not going to be able to sit down and concentrate you're not going to be able to sit down and concentrate on one thing for a long enough period before you start, like, wanting to check your phone. Like, you go to a movie theater, of course you got your phone on silent, but if you're sitting there and the movie's not, like, super interesting to you, you're just going to grab your phone and go off into freaking cyberland. So it's not. This technology is not good for us. This social media crap. I mean, when kids are spending like 60 minutes a day on TikTok, that's a bad thing.
Yeah, because they've watched like 300 videos in that 60 minutes.
Right.
But that's why I'm not focused on TikTok. Like, I don't want to be on a platform that's specifically about short form content.
No, I know, but if that's happening,
Like,
if that's happening on TikTok, then it's going to be happening in other places.
Yeah,
I've been guilty of it
for
myself.
me. Like, I want to do the shorts. I want to do the shorts because they just get exposed.
No, I know. I understand why you want to do it. I'm just saying, it's not great. Is all I'm saying. It's not great for the for the viewer. It's not great because
but and that's exactly the point. I don't want to do stuff that makes people go, hey. I want people to say, oh, let's see what else they got to say. You know what I mean? So that's my hope on the short content. But I get your like. Well, we have no attention span anyways because again we don't hold people to standards of performance.
Right.
They don't have to pay attention because there's no consequence if they don't pay attention.
I
mean, that's the way I read it.
Oh, did you hear what Idaho has done?
About what?
Idaho passed a new law.
Got to be more specific.
I was just wondering if you had heard anything about it. So in Idaho they passed
was them setting the groundwork for Eastern Oregon to join Idaho.
Oh no, this isn't about that. I don't know about that. I'm like, I hope it happens, but I don't know. It's gonna take like an act of Congress for that. But no, the legislation passed a law that brought back the firing squad for the death penalty.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, what? That's sweet. So it was brought on because there is a shortage of the injection chemicals. So
I remember, I forget who it was. Who was it that like didn't trust the lethal injection in the electric chair, so they petitioned to be hanged? Who was that? One of the serial killers.
I don't know.
And they were the first person hung in like 100 years in our country. That was when we were kids.
Crazy.
Like, I just don't remember who it was.
I think they need to bring back fucking public execution.
I'm down.
Seriously.
People should know and see the consequences of their actions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, but first we need to get DAs that'll actually do the consequences. Now, I do have an interesting point here. Okay. Or what's his name? George Soros. He's like what, a Swedish Jew, right?
Something like that.
Anyways, he's a foreigner.
Yep.
Right? Yet he is the biggest donor to political campaigns in the United States. He is the #1 donor for the Democrat Party. Like, far and away, not even close. Like, even FTX guy that was laundering the money through the Democrat campaigns was like a fraction of what that guy donated. Right? He's the one that pushed all of these DAs in. He's meeting with all these guys. Bro, how is he not interfering with the election? They sit there and like squawk about Elon Musk getting a legitimate like business partnership in Saudi Arabia, who is our ally. Like, and that's not even how it works. It was an investment fund, like bought shares of the company, just like they were able to do when they were private. The only difference is there's a lot fewer shareholders because it's a private company. You know what I mean? So like he bought the 3 billion shares and the Saudis bought 1 billion of them. You know what I mean? Some shit like that. Anyway, so I mean, that's how the financing deal worked. Okay, but that's a legitimate business deal. And yet they like ignore the fact that George Soros, who doesn't have any business in the US, keeps pumping tons of money into US elections. All on bad policy. And they completely ignore, like they sit there and whine. Well, Trump made money from the Russians, his kids are from the Chinese. Ivanka made money off of Asia because of her like clothing line and blah blah blah, right? Okay, but these are legitimate businesses. Please explain to me what legitimate business Hunter had. What business did he ever run? He was a consultant. Okay, what was he consulting on? Like, I did consulting too. I did retail operations and retail management consulting. What did he do? He was, this is how you bribe my daddy consulting. You know what I mean? So, anyway, I think the guy should be like sanctioned. Anybody that gets money from him should be sanctioned, including any politician. Any politician that has conversations with him should be arrested for interacting with foreign actors. You know, the thing that they tried to go after Michael Flynn for. So, and you know, they wanted Flynn because he was the head of military intelligence for quite a long time, and he knew how all these spook agencies work. And they weren't on his side, so he's like, yeah, you gotta go. Anyway, but no, it's just crazy to me, like the way this guy's like obviously like fist deep in our elections, or elbow deep, fist first in our elections. I'd say that I was trying to figure out a nice way to put it, but I don't want to put it a nice way. Like, I mean, it's horrible what the guy's doing. Like, he is the foreign election meddling that the Democrats are always talking about. Of course, we've long since discussed how, like, absolutely everything that the Democrats ever accuse anybody of, it's what they're actually doing. So, I don't know. Personally, I think there's a lot of Democrats that should probably be in prison. For, yeah.
George.
I mean, that would be election meddling,
George Soros is the reason we only have Anne Frank's diary.
Oh, what's that?
George Soros is the reason we only have Anne Frank's diary.
How is that? Like, I honestly don't know. Like,
I don't know either. That was only speculation, but being how he was seen on TV saying that he didn't regret turning in his own people to the Nazis, I'm going to say, yeah, that was probably had something to do with him.
Yeah. The dude's a Nazi collaborator interfering in our election. Anyway, that goes it for me. I got to get out of here. So thanks to the revelers for joining us. Brad, thanks for getting on, even though you're sick. Yeah. Hope you're feeling better.
Well, I finally got a minute.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, notification bell. Have a great weekend, guys. Go to church tomorrow. We always need a little prayer.
Good night, everybody.